Des from Aro-Tarot here, and this is the last video that I'm doing for Ethany's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge. So yes, I'll have completed this challenge 2 years in a row. Yeah, I'm doing the last 5 days kind of all together with the whole drawing video going on so that there's something in the background because, yeah, I've kind of liked doing these just speed painty things. It's nice. It's nice. I like it. And then there's something besides me just talking to a camera. I can mix things up a little bit, you know? So yeah, the picture that I should be working on, if I remember correctly, because I did this a while ago, I filmed it, prepared it. I just hadn't recorded the voice. So this should be my one picture of Cassius. And this one was, like, the first picture that I kind of did. I need to, like, draw more of him and just kind of, like, my other ones. But I had just kind of designed his outfit, which was on my sketchbook page previous. And so I kind of had drew him out. I did a actual, like, version where I shaded him with some of my Tombow gray markers. And I had colored, like, the red in, and, like, just, you know, I think, was the red the only color pencil I used? No, there's brown. There's brown in his outfit. The shirt, I also used the Tombow markers, same with his eyes and his hair in the background. But yeah, I had just designed his outfit, so I drew the picture up. I know the hand does not look very well, yeah, I didn't really have a reference. I had a reference for just, like, the angle, like, kind of just to give me an idea of, like, the angle I wanted him in. But I didn't actually have a reference for, like, his arm. I was looking at my phone already for, like... No, I think I was listening to an audiobook, so I couldn't, like, look at a picture, I don't think. I don't remember. What was I doing? I don't even remember. But yeah, I didn't have a reference for his arm, so it doesn't look the best. But yeah, I just figured I'd do, like, a colored version of it as well. So that's what this video is. Me making, like, a colored version. Which, in some ways, I kind of like more. I mean, just obviously the color part. I kind of like the shading I did with the Tombow markers. But I definitely like the coloring more. And because of the coloring, I had decided and figured out that for his little, like, hood cape thing, the stitches would be brown instead of, like, just black, just to add another some more of the lighter brown in. But yeah, that's Cass. He's one of the main characters of a story that I'm working on. Currently, I only have the prologue done, and partly because I want to draw the city's map before I write any more. But I do have, like, the whole magic system kind of worked out now, and some of the other characters. Oh, I'm still missing, like, two other side characters. And the names of two other ones that are kind of important. So I just got some more side characters. But yeah, anyway. I've already talked about this story before. So I figured I'd just kind of go ahead. I had to put the phone down, so that's what the sound was. So yeah, I figured I'd just at least explain the picture. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. So yeah, anyway, day 27 is how do you pick your tarot decks for readings. Usually, I'll have one that kind of, like, comes to mind. Like, I have, like, my shelf with all my decks for the month. Like, they're just there to my right if I'm sitting at my desk. So I'll just look over and, you know, if one doesn't immediately come to mind, like, usually I'll look at them and then, like, my eyes just kind of go to the one, so I go with that one. Which usually kind of also at the same time, like, if I'm taking my decks with me somewhere, usually it's the Justice League. That's kind of my go-to deck. But sometimes newer decks will be the ones that I take with me or I feel more tempted to use. Obviously, I just got the deck. But yeah, if there's any questions for like, if there's any, like, new spreads and I'm not necessarily sure, with the questioning, sometimes I'll just, or if someone, like, wants a reading, even if it's just family, usually I'll use more of my go-to decks, especially since it's not like I do readings for other people, like, often it's just family when my mom's like, hey, but usually now she does it herself, and my brother can do it himself, too, so, yeah, my practice is really just with myself, so if I was to do anything for anyone else, it kind of gets out of my comfort zone, and I need to use more of my go-to decks, because, you know, your go-to, you understand what it's saying, it's the easiest to speak to, and that would be, like, my Justice League is, like, my default. I know I'm supposed to do a reading for, one of my mom's coworkers, just to kind of, like, I know they clarified it a bit with themselves just on their own, but I think they still want a little bit more clarification, so I figured I'd pull out a deck. So that one I was going to use the Nicoletta Giaccoli, which in some ways is a comfort zone. Like, it's definitely not one of the ones I think of with a comfort zone, but when I have used it, like, I don't know, it's just a very, I don't know, I'd say maybe, like, dreamlike. Kind of like a High Priestess would be kind of its thing, kind of deck. I mean, if you have the Nicoletta Giaccoli, you probably know what I'm talking about, because I know other people have described it, similar, but, yeah. But usually, with the specific questions, that one, I knew I needed to do it with that one. But yeah, usually, if I don't know what the question is, or if it's not my comfort zone, I'll probably pull out the Justice League, or any other decks that I'm really familiar with. Like, Prismavisions could be another one. Besides that, I'll probably just... Oh, I also wrote down in my question that there was one time where I had multiple decks and I asked them which one wanted to do, the reading more. I was like, yo, do you want to do the reading more? Like, I don't know. It was kind of funny. But yeah. So, day 28 is, what is your go-to tarot book and why? And just my go-to book would probably just be whatever book's closest to me that I know I like the meanings for. So, generally, if it's a specific deck with a guidebook, it would be that guidebook for that deck. For spreads, usually for spread books, I usually, for obviously more so just for doing fun, 'cause usually I just make my own spreads if there's something I want to know. But if I just want to have fun with my brother, and just kind of like explore tarot and just have like a nice little tarot evening, our go-to book is my mom's copy of the 365 tarot spreads, since there's just a ton, literally, like, there's a spread for every single day, even leap years, so, yeah, there's like that's always like an easy, go-to one for fun spreads to do with my brother for our tarot evenings, where we just want to hang out with our decks. But yeah, I don't really have, like, a guidebook or anything that I go to. Like, I don't go, you know, like, I don't know, like, if it's not for, I don't know, I could at least say maybe if it's court cards, if I need a refresher on court cards, my go-to would probably be the Steampunk Tarot Guidebook. If I had a deck that didn't have a guidebook, but usually if a deck has a guidebook, I just will pick that up if I need a quick refresher, or if on the occasion I'm stumped, which usually only happens if it's a brand new deck. I mean, if you get a new deck and you get a little stumped, sometimes you just gotta pick up the guidebook, you know? It's a new deck, you know? So, question 29 is, how do you feel about tarot deck modifications? Do you draw on your decks, trim the borders, or is it a no-go for you, and why? And I really like tarot deck modifications. Like, obviously, with me, I ask the deck beforehand. Because, like, for instance, what deck was it? I had one deck where I had asked and it said no. Might have been the Shadowscapes. And I had asked because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to trim the borders off, especially since I had already edged it in silver. And the deck was like, nah. And I was like, you're right, sis. You're right. So, yeah, I usually ask, and if they say yes, I'll go ahead and do the modifications. Besides edging, I don't ask if I want to edge, because, like, edging isn't, like, it's not, like, an extreme modification. It's not, like, actually cutting the cards. You're just giving it, like, a really pretty edge. But if I'm trimming the cards, I'll ask. Which, like, for instance, happened, like, the first time that I trimmed a deck. I, like, really had messed up with this one modification, and I needed to trim it. And I was like, are you sure? And it's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you sure? And it's like, yeah. And like, I asked like 6 times in a row, and it was like, yeah. Just get on with it already. Chop me up. And I'm like, if I mess up, I'm gonna die. But literally, I love how that deck came out modified, and like, it loves it too. So, yeah, I've never written on a card though. I don't have like, I don't have the best handwriting. I don't have bad handwriting. Like, I used to hate my handwriting because I was always told by my Nana, your handwriting sucks. So, it wasn't until, like, high school where, like, I saw my peers' handwriting that I was like, wow, my handwriting's actually clear, and you can read it, and it doesn't look like scribbles. Unless I'm quickly writing something down, then it'll, like, whose handwriting doesn't look like scribbles when you have to write something down really, really quickly? So it's not pretty, but it's not, like, ugly. Just kind of normal. So, like, I don't really like the idea of writing on cards. For my one deck, I actually put washi tape on it and then wrote on that. So one day, so I could always take the washi tape off when I got used to the images. And even after I got used to them, I actually kind of liked how it looked with just the washi tape with like a gold marker of the name. I think it kind of came out like cool looking. But yeah, I like modifications. It's definitely a cool way to bond with your deck more. And I'm always up for it if, like, the borders are, like, bothering me and the deck's like, sure, chop me up. So, yeah. So for day 30, it's, do you carry out predictive tarot readings? Yes, no, and why? And it's kind of, I do yearly readings, and I'll do monthly readings. And I do weekly readings, and daily readings, which they're kind of predictive. The way that I see predictive is obviously, like, it's just a snapshot of the moment. Like, you're just taking a quick picture. You're just going, like, of just how things are looking. So, like, I could do a year reading, and it could be like, oh, this month's going to be like this. And then when the month comes, I'll do, like, a monthly reading, and it's like, the month's going to be like this. And it could be completely different because just, the choices that you make. Just, yeah. So, like, in a way, I kind of do, but, like, it's more so, like, I know that it's not going to be exact. Like, it's just a snapshot. So, like, I do, but at the same time, I'm not, like, predicting, like, this is gonna happen. It's more of, this is what it looks like it's gonna happen. But, you never know. It could rain. It could snow. This is Ohio. Oh my god, I never thought about that. Like, literally, like, tarot reading is like Ohio. Like, it could end up being sunny next week, but it could also be snowing. You never know. It's Ohio. But yeah. So, day 31 is, what questions do you most often ask the tarot for yourself and for others? And usually, I'm just kind of asking for advice or the theme of the day. Just that kind of things. Because usually, if I'm using the decks, it's more of just daily draws, weekly draws. Which I still need to write my weekly draw. I did it this week. I just didn't write down what I interpreted as in my journal yet. But usually, I'm just doing that kind of things. If I'm having, like, a tarot evening with my brother, we just find, like, spreads that we think are interesting and cool, and we would just kind of love to see what comes up for us. So that could be, like, any kind of questions, really. But yeah, usually I'm just kind of asking, like, for advice, on on different things, like, should I buy this? Which I have had that on occasion. Literally, my one teacup, which you could use for tea leaf readings, it was like $20. And I was like, it's not bad. It's an older one, too. And I was like, yo, Justice League Tarot, I've got like $20 on me. Should I spend my money and buy this teacup and saucer set? And I drew the sun, and I was like, okay. And then, like, literally, like, before I got my new mug that I got, like, last month, I was only really drinking tea even from the teacup, whether I was actually using it for any readings or not, which is something I still need to, like, learn a little bit more of, Avi. But I have all the meetings written down, but, like, yeah. Like, I just liked drinking out of the cup, too. But now I have this cute, like, mug with, like, an owl on it. So, of course, I gotta drink my tea with my owl that has a pun on it. You know, it's so cute. But, yeah, so, yeah, that's the last question. Man, yeah, it's the last question. I could literally unpin this finally from my freaking internet. Because I had it in my Google Doc, but I just had it pinned, and I can finally unpin it. But yeah, that was all of the questions now for, I literally can't figure it out, because I'm so tired. It's 1:30 in the morning. I've only been up for, like, so many hours, because my sleep's always off. But yeah, so that was it. That was Ethany's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge for 2019. I'm Des from Aro-Tarot, and I am logging off, so bye!